Welcome to the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to get local clients fast. Featuring interviews with local marketing and lead generation experts who will show you exactly how to attract local clients and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Doran Aldana.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. And this is your host, Doran Aldana, coming at you with another kick-ass episode. And today, we are rocking and rolling with the one, the only, James Rembert. He is otherwise known as the Zillow Killer. I love that. That comes straight out of Compton or something, the Zillow Killer. And he is got a very specialized experience, know-how, and expertise in the area of Facebook marketing in general, and in helping the real estate agent, the local real estate agent, dominate their space with wicked, effective Facebook marketing. And so there's lots of ways, as I'm sure you're well aware, to mess up Facebook ads. Any of you who've tried it, you know there's a bazillion ways to lose your shirt or at least lose your money with Facebook. And what we're going to be talking about today is how to do it the right way, how to do it the smart way. And so without further ado, James, thanks for hanging with us today, brother.
My pleasure, my pleasure.
So why don't we get right into it and do it with a little background on yourself. I know there's going to be several people listening to this that aren't familiar with who JR is. James Rembert. Who is this guy and how is it he got to be an expert in Facebook marketing? And how is it that you really earned your stripes and cut your teeth into that space and got to be doing what you're doing now, helping real estate agents dominate their space using the Facebook ad medium to be able to get more clientele at a better price point and convert those leads into quality clients that send repeat and referral business? How is it that you learned this game?
Well, everything was always by trial and error. I wish it was an academy that could teach this, but it doesn't exist. So it's all from the School of Hard Knocks. And I originally started out selling real estate. So I sold... I sold 4 years, 3 years, 2 years full time. My fourth year was part time, and my first year was like gladiator school. So I didn't sell shit my first year.
You learned how not to do it, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, the suck part is that no one tells you. The thing that agents get pumped in their head is that their first year has to be bad. You know what I mean? And it comes from such a dated theory or a dated, if you want to call it, theology of how the industry works. And that was cool when there were gatekeepers. And quickly, going into year two, I had to do a complete mindset shift. And my degree is in visual communication, so I knew marketing was definitely the key. I understood, digital tool. I understood digital enough that I knew that was the future. And diving into Facebook was almost like a I don't want to say by accident, but it was the medium that was it was faster to understand where we used it. So it was like it made more sense. And anything with marketing 101 is you go where the attention is. And going into year two is when I started marketing for myself. I did Facebook ads and open houses for 3 years straight. And during that time frame, I sold over $30 million in gross GCI. And going into my fourth year, pretty much my third and fourth year, as you start to progress in the industry, you bump into people and a lot of how you would meet different agents. And I'm originally from North Jersey. My success didn't start happening till I got to South Jersey. And I didn't know anybody. So you start to see agents, and agents have their own internal culture where it's like, oh, I know this dude. And it's just that narcissistic mindset was easy to, it just exists. So if they didn't normally see you, and then you start seeing more of the person at closing tables and working at clients and showing houses, the question was like, what are you doing? And I started out and I always had this spirit of abundance. I never seen things as lack, mainly because of where I grew up, understood what that was, and I never wanted to be like that. So I always had this mindset of how could I be of service. And I started going to different brokerages while I was selling real estate and different associations, teaching what I was doing. And it was almost a pattern where at the end of every training, we'd get a couple of people would say, well, how much would you charge to do this for me? And I'm like, I don't really have the time. I got my own business, but I'm showing you what I'm doing. Like, there's no smoke and mirrors. There's no mystery. This is point by point by point of what I was doing. And after a while, my wife was like, babe, you gotta give a number. And during one of those trainings, I gave a number, and 4 people signed up to work with me. Now I gotta facilitate the service now, and the agency, which is where my attention is now, where my full attention is now, which is Digital Natives. That was the birth of it, but it all spooled from me selling real estate, understanding the pain, understanding that gatekeeper mindset is so prevalent in the industry, where no one wants to tell you what's really working. It's that that scarcity mindset of, well, if I show you your competition, and competition, truthfully, that's a weak mindset. And from that spooled into our agency, where now we work with well over 100 plus real estate teams and brokerages globally. Now we got about 24 that's international. So it's an interesting, it's an interesting shift going from selling real estate to providing the service for real estate. But my passion was always into marketing. So that's kind of a quick nutshell of who I am, and, dive into how I got where I am.
Well, that is very cool. You got to love having a wife that you've been blessed with to make sure you're putting as many dollars and as many zeros and commas in your bank account as possible, nudging you and putting a elbow in your ribs saying, honey, you better be giving a number, and don't make it a small one now.
It was cool. Like I said, because the reason why, and I'd say this, it was, my thoughts were I just wanted to help. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't thinking of business or business opportunity. It really happened almost like it was like a byproduct. And as I started to take on more people, that my 4th year of selling real estate is when I went part-time. And just based off what I was doing in the circulation of what I had in play, I was able to build out a team and feed my team. And through my team was my beta for me making sense of how to take on more clients. So I would test things with the team, and those would be, extensions we would add to the service or the onboarding or the different, sequences we put in play. And as we got that down, as we started to perfect it, of course, those numbers increased. But I just got tired of telling people no. And that 4th year forced me to focus on turning Digital Natives into a real agency, mainly because I kept saying yes every time I went out to speak. So we had a nice little situation going on, but I just viewed it as just some reoccurring income. When things were slow, or, if a deal fell through, or, that was my thought pattern. I guess because I don't have people scream they have the entrepreneurial gene. I just understood hustle, and some people see that as a tainted word. And I mean, it's a perspective, but from when I was young, I used to go over to New York and sell candy. So I just had this mindset that I wanted to, how can I help you? And from there, birthed out the agency.
And now you're still selling candy. You're selling lead candy, baby. Automated lead candy. Screw that Zillow. They're selling bunk candy. Get the real thing here. Get better quality leads, easier to convert, lower cost per acquisition. They're more hot for what you got. They're more pre-sold, more pre-qualified. Why churn and burn through a bunch of gravel when we can just spoon feed you with all the gold nuggets straight up, no messing around? So you're still selling candy, you're just selling better candy.
Sell luxury candy.
That's it. So there's a few cool things in your story I just want to highlight. One is you came up from nothing and you realized what you didn't want. You didn't want to be living in lack and limitations. So you resolved within your heart, I'm going to find a better way. And through that, you link that resolve to abundance and your attunement to abundance and your commitment to abundance. with that cooperative, collaborative spirit where you just, instead of seeing people as competition, you're seeing your passion and your gift for marketing dovetailing perfectly in with other people hurting in the area where you are unique, they're weak. And so you saw an opportunity to serve. And while it was just some part-time money, maybe just to diversify yourself initially, when you're just in transition phase, you decided to say yes to your passion, and yes to dancing in your strengths, and yes to operating in your zone of genius, and say yes to people who are hurting for answers, hurting for a vehicle, hurting for a secret sauce code on how to advance their business. And since that was your passion, it only made sense that you start to leverage your passion for a profit. And so everyone listening right now, there's your opportunity. Where are your passions? Where is your zone of genius? Where is your unique ability? And finding a way to dance in your strengths to serve others, that's the sweet spot right there. That's called a meaningful mission. More money, more freedom, more fulfillment, all that. So I love that that's, very much your story, James, and I'm right there with you. That's very much my story too. So you're definitely a brother from another mother when it comes to our common roots, coming from nothing and advancing to something. Tell me about how, now that you got into this, lead generation on Facebook thing, and you know what you know, which obviously is a heck of a lot more than the average. Tell me about some of the big pitfalls. We got local business owners here listening. Some of them might think they're rather adept at Facebook marketing. Some of them are like, Facebook, I don't mess with that. That's wastebook. I don't mess with that. That's just a waste of time. I just do referrals, and I do yellow page ads, or I do, postcards, or I do networking, whatever it is they do, but they don't mess with that online Facebook stuff. So we got a full spectrum of experience and expertise. But one thing we know is there's a lot of ways to do it wrong and a very few ways to do it right. So let's talk about some of the big blunders, maybe the top 1, 2, or 3 ways to mess up Facebook ads that will cause you to, waste time, energy, and money on shit that really does not work. Maybe the top 2, 3 pitfalls.
Of course. The main thing that people try to do, they misinterpret Facebook, and Facebook has 2 faces. You have the direct response, and then you have the social media side. Mm-hmm. Most people only understand the social media side, so they can't really make sense of it because, a lot of people bullshit who they are anyway. Very few people are willing to walk in their truth, so that's why they can't succeed on the social media side. But where people fail at is they immediately formate into or transform into agent. Nobody gives a shit about a real estate agent when I'm on Facebook. That's not important at that time. The key to Facebook advertisement is being human, and that's just the internet as a whole. Mm-hmm. When we understand the internet has nothing to do, algorithms and sequences and all those big words and elephant and things like that people say to confuse you, it's cool to scream that stuff out. But the internet as a whole is about community, and community is about relationships, and relationships are stronger when you're dealing with real people. And that's the key to Facebook advertising. We're just taking that human element and pretty much pumping steroids into it and pushing it at scales. We call Facebook word of mouth at scales. And for those that we see that attempt to get into paid traffic, fail to realize is the highest selling tool that we have is face-to-face. I mean, if I have a conversation with you and I'm at a point of pushing and selling, closing, I need to talk to you. And the fastest way to replicate that channel is video. And very few people are willing to accept that fact that video is not an option. Video is essential to any type of paid traffic, especially Facebook. When you know, very few channels you can honestly say, and this is the funny part when we talk to clients, and some clients, and this is like a rule at our company. If you don't do video, you can't work with me. I don't really care if you can afford it or not. That's essential. And when we say video, people freak out. But if I say, hey, listen, here's $1 million buyer, or we put our sales code on, we pump out our chests, and we talk about what we did, that same shit applies when you're on video. You follow me? Without the bragging, but the same human element applies. And that's what people forget. belly to belly doesn't move just because it's digital. It's just faster now and broader. And when people understand that element, that digital is not, it's not about if it is. Digital is. We can't unring the bell. It will be, and that's where everything is going. And if we screamed out 2 years ago, cryptocurrency, that people would have laughed. I was like, no way, that's not even possible. But for those that understood that, got on it early, and they're in a whole nother platform. And the same thing with Facebook. The amount of people that's actively or that's actively effective using Facebook ads is super, super small. And we know that personally because we have a brand rep from Facebook. And it's interesting just to hear these conversations when we talk to them, that one, we see it falls into two realms where those that have a perspective about it feel as though they got it down, but they can't see the proper results. And then you have another group that feel as though it's too loud or it's too late. And neither one of those are true. There's plenty of room, and there's always room to learn because Facebook is not growing, it's actually evolving. So those are like the main pitfalls we see. If you're going to get into Facebook advertisement or in paid traffic, video has to be. It's not about if, maybe. Video is a must.
So we need to have video in our actual ad. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Exactly. But not even just the ad. Video is, and this is why these syndicated sites won. And I, it's not about, people saying, well, they haven't won yet. Oh, yes, they did. I mean, Zillow is $1 billion company. You can't stop what they're doing, but you can make sense of where it fits at in your marketing efforts. If I taught you how to build data and control your data, the question you can now ask yourself is, do I need these syndicated sites? And it's no, because it's all about data and data aggregation. And video through Facebook has the highest level of engagement, control. We can actually isolate and separate based on how people are watching video, whether it's male, female, how long they watched it, how much the percentage they watched it, and all of that data. It goes back to the original question. If you can talk to your client, I'm talking about you can talk to the client or that future client, what would you say? And how to approach it. And video gives you that ability to talk to your future client. We can chop up a 1 minute video and get right to the converters. Now, it may not be 1,000 people that watched it, but why would I spend money on 1,000? Let's spend money on the 10 that's really talking to me, that's really listening. So we can really, really get precise when it comes to video.
So what have you found to work best with video? I mean, there's a lot of different directions we can go. We could do testimonial videos of clients, talking about how awesome we are. We could do a video talking about our product or a service, or if it's a real estate agent, maybe it's in front of a house talking about the house. We could do videos giving free tips or free advice. What have you found to be generally the best way to do video?
Candid-based videos always work. And when I say candid, be human. You don't even have to talk about real estate. You talk about things that's interesting to you. I mean, you'd be surprised at people that, if you have people buy there's only two reasons why people buy. It's either emotion or agreed upon value. You'd be surprised that the things that you're interested, that other people might be interested in. And it's that same approach, know, like, and trust. You sell yourself first, and now you can talk to me about real estate. And a simple formula that we get everybody to follow is the business page is your hub for everything you do. Producing a candid-based video, whether it be you are sharing your walk, your workout, you're giving insights about a community. You always want to talk about things that's relevant to a lifestyle forming habit or some type of lifestyle around maybe a community or an area. You don't always have to talk about the house. But taking that type of candid-based video and sharing it with your friends. The reason why we do candid-based videos talking about just something that you're interested in is because you're going to share it with your friends. And when you share with your friends, from that, you have the ability now to make what's considered a custom audience. And that's some of the muscle. And the muscle behind the custom audience is it creates what you have the ability to create what's called the lookalike audience. Now, I know some of this stuff may sound extra techie, my point is, if you can replicate all of your friends by 10, my point is that's how you would be able to replicate everybody that you know or that would like you by 10, by building something like that. And it's simple as introducing yourself or talking about something that's engaging to you, sharing it with your friend. And from your lookalike, Facebook will find everybody that replicates that person or that interest of that person that have never known you. So building audiences based on people that would already, if you got to know them, or if you were able to get in front of 1,000 people like your two best friends, they'd probably be your best friends anyway. You know what I mean? Like you probably have 1,000 extra friends to add on. Well, that's some of the tools that Facebook gives you the ability to do.
Yeah, and as far as I know, I'm no Facebook expert. I got people that handle that for me. But as far as I know, you could even upload a list of your customers. If you got a customer database, you can upload that to Facebook with their phone numbers and their email addresses and their names and all that. And then it will create a lookalike audience from that as well. Is that right?
That is, and the rules are changing on that now. You just got to show where that source comes from. But and again, these are people that are familiar with you. The goal is to get in front of, agents don't fail because they're bad. Most agents fail because of obscurity. Like nobody know who the hell you are. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Secret agents.
Exactly. So talking to the 10 that know you is cool. But what if we can talk to 1,000 that's like the 10 that already know you? That's powerful right there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I don't know about your experience, but I've found, because I work in the mortgage space quite a bit, I own a company called mortgagemarketingcoach.com. We help mortgage brokers build thriving businesses without cold calling or dealing with realtors they don't like working with, and really being able to dial in their revenue without dialing up their workload. And one of the things we found is that the ultimate bait tends to be not mortgage type content, but real estate content, especially for buyers. You know, what's the ultimate bait for buyers? A house, a listing. And so we've found that oftentimes you don't want to be talking about the drill. You want to be talking about the 1-inch hole that the drill is going to create. And in this case, like in mortgages, people don't want a mortgage, they want the house. In real estate, I imagine they don't want a realtor. They want to either sell their house or they want to buy a house, but they're looking for an outcome. And so we want to be thinking outcome based. So speaking of outcome based, your name, you're otherwise known as the Zillow Killer, which really speaks to, the fact that you are a massively more advantageous alternative to wasting one's time, energy, money on bunk leads that get sold to 5 different, real estate agents and make you a replaceable commodity. Tell me about Facebook, the advantages of Facebook over other alternatives like buying leads, for example. Lots of different companies, whether they be chiropractors or dentists or mortgage pros or real estate agents, they have the opportunity to go and just buy leads. They can buy leads from infocanada.com or infousa.com, or if they're in real estate, Zillow.com. What's the advantage of doing your own thing through Facebook with a wicked effective campaign like what you help your clients unleash versus just buying the leads straight up from a lead seller?
Exactly. First thing is exclusivity. There's nobody to talk to or have to talk over when you're controlling your data. Like I said, the original is the game is data control. And people, unfortunately, I don't know a better way to say it. We can just say list. But if you can control your data, and that's what these syndicated sites have over us, is that they understood the end user behavior where simplicity works. We'll give them exactly what they want, and we will control the data. And now we'll take that data because it's funny because the first thing these syndicated sites did was gather the data from the agents to give to the end consumer. But that same rules apply when it comes to Facebook advertisement. The power of what we can do is put that human element in play first. And now the selling part becomes almost like a byproduct because the person is already engaged and already ready into who you are. And digital can be measured, especially through Facebook. And it's all about that one simple technique of if you can get in front of a camera and share it to your friends, you have the audience or the group that would eventually be interested in spending money on you. So going hyper local, that's a discipline that most agents won't do. That's key. And if you pay attention to these syndicated sites, when you search by regions and area. The same rules apply. Unfortunately, we it's like we don't want to see. Like it's in front of us, but we don't want to see it. And through Facebook, we have to take everything that we have the ability to take everything that these syndicated sites are overcharging us, and I'll jump into that, and create exclusivity, create relationships, create intimacy, and that's when the money start happening. Leads are cool, and everybody screams these leads. That shit is okay. I want business. How do I grow my business? How do I take this particular information and get it to a place of business? And intimacy is how you do it. But video tied into putting in front of people that are actually listening. You know, I mentioned earlier just now that I talked about how it's over, how these syndicated sites are pretty much raping the industry. Unfortunately, I think the conversation can go deeper because, I mean, we have an industry that 2 weeks is not enough time to be a professional of anything. But that's another conversation. But because of that simple concept of data aggregation or controlling the data, no one wants to dive into that. And there's the thing, what Facebook monitor, because everything we do is based off impressions. And I think everybody's probably heard that terminology. Mainly because when you bought into Zillow, the first tier, when they started to sell you stuff, it was leads, and then they jumped it to, per 1,000 impressions, and then now it's, market share. Well, the interesting part about impressions on a digital scale is counted, and they're called CPMs. That's per 1,000 impressions. Mm-hmm. We consider this CPM, right? These Zillow charges anywhere between $200 to $300 per CPM, per 1,000 impressions, right? Facebook charges $7.
Wow.
$7 per CPM. But unfortunately, because we don't want to take the time, and it's not about going super deep. You know what I mean? We don't take time to understand what the hell is really happening, but it's cool to complain. Well, the unprepared always gets abused. It's easy.
Right. Yeah, I mean, let's be real. For people starting out, they're going to have more time than money. So for someone like that, you're going to want to have to bootstrap it and figure out how to learn the game and learn from someone like James on how to do it. Or if you're able to get yourself some capital, you'll probably be way further ahead to bypass all that trouble and struggle and just get someone to do it for you like I do. I don't have any desire to learn all that stuff, all that.
You know what's some crazy, Dorian? It's so inexpensive to learn or to do in Facebook. Algorithms are so intelligent now; they're built for us to win. Mm-hmm. And a quick tip for anybody that want to test the waters: I don't care what you build anything you want in reference to Facebook. Use any objective, and you know what? Let's isolate it and go even deeper. Use the Legion objective. That's a great starting point. I'm not going to say it's going to ramp up your business, but it will get you into understanding how things are working. And you'll start to get some momentum. It's a deeper dive, but it's a great starting point. From that lead gen objective, if you use that same component that I said, video to your group, custom audience, advertise to your lookalike, the only thing you need to do is exclude your competition and send it out to an area, maybe 3 to 5 zip codes. I guarantee you will start to see results.
Yeah, and it's just a matter of how dialed in your ad is and your message is and how congruent that message is for your market and how you show up on that video, whether you be lame or whether you be showing up like a champ that's going to make a difference in conversion. Tell us about some of the nuances with conversion because, I mean, like you just said before, leads are nice, but you want business. I mean, you can't bring leads to the bank to pay your mortgage. You need cash in your wallet. So obviously there's a bunch of hoops to jump through to go from just capturing some data to actually getting money in your pocket. So for someone who's maybe a little bit more of a tech tart or a little bit rudimentary on their technology awareness, what are some critical tools in their toolbox they're going to need to make sure they're optimizing conversion beyond just having a Facebook account.
Exactly. Oh, well, and it's cool that you said they have some type of techie to them. Messenger bots is extremely powerful. I'm talking about it's that particular channel in reference to tying that to your Facebook ads. Because a lot of people hear ads and they think campaign. Well, when you think campaign, think of an entire sequence. But for you guys that understand at least the ad side and got some that's a little tech savvy, messenger bots are the next level, the next wave in reference to communication. It's new to the industry. It's only been in play for about 2 years. Tying a messenger bot into any campaign will pretty much push your conversion ratio. We've seen 20 to 30% increase engagement, because that's what it's all about. We don't really care about cost per click. We care about cost per conversation, because that's where the money is. And if you view email as a channel to stay top of mind, well, messenger bot is the conversation starter when you don't know what the hell to say.
Right. So it's kind of like, rather than having them opt into a form and then waiting for a response back, or just getting an automated email and having it be a one-way street, immediately you're able, through the messenger bot tool, you're able to actually start up a conversation where it's live, or at least it seems like it's live, it's organic. With the bot component, I imagine you can make it a robotic, automated, scripted follow-up, but they don't necessarily need to know that if it's delivered properly. They might think it's just you talking to them live and direct. Is that right?
Our messenger bots book appointments.
Okay.
That's how engaging they are, and they're super intuitive. Like I said, it's not. We hear bots and think about it's just what they call them. It's just the sequence of direct messaging or text messaging that a system does for you, but it takes them from ad, engage, appointment. Our clients are going to appointments or having appointments come in directly from the messenger bot, and then we can bring that human element back into play and start to congratulate or to welcome or to dive deeper prior to the conversation, prior to the meeting. But messenger bots, the open rate that we're seeing with messenger bots and video texting are in the high 90%. Wow.
That's pretty phenomenal. Yeah, I know texting is huge, but messenger bot is often overlooked. So that's definitely something I'm going to be talking to my Facebook people about, because we haven't tested that yet. That sounds like that could be a real game changer.
Game changer. Hands down. Forget about, don't drive yourself crazy with the pixel, and because people hear that and it's like, oh, it's cool to throw that out there. The stuff that's working is when you can create congruency between your delivery and your response. That's where the gold is, and that's what people haven't done. And messenger bot has a way of creating or removing that friction when a person clicks an ad, because a lot of people click an ad, especially if the message isn't dialed in. They'll click it just out of curiosity. But the messenger bot has it as an interesting way of weeding out those tire kickers and talking to people as people. And all you need to do is pick up that conversation as a person. Be an agent when you get them in the office, but until then, be human.
Yeah, that seems like the golden thread woven through all this. Authenticity, candor, a realness, a rawness to it, and just being authentic, whether it be on your video, whether it be in how you're following up with leads, whether it be through Facebook or digital method or through live conversation on the phone. Obviously, people get turned off and they get the buyer defense mechanism as soon as it starts to come off as clunky or awkward or salesy or sleazy or uncool. And people have got those, bullshit detectors really dialed in, and they're going to smell it from a mile away. If you've got, commission breath, they're going to smell it from a mile away.
Well, look at the day and age we in. You use this year, for example. It seems like the world is even more sensitive. So why wouldn't we be able to smell bullshit a lot faster? You know what I mean? So very few people care to be sold to. And we're dealing with, we gotta understand, one, we want to come to that person as how can I be of service? Well, we got to understand the emotion behind it. Yeah, we see this shit every day, but everybody ain't buying a house every day. Everybody's not looking to sell a house every day. And we got to come to these people as people first before we can sell them anything. That happens. If we really, really want to get deep about it, you ain't selling a house anyway. Price rule.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right. It's all about just having a real human conversation and keeping it real like that, because everyone loves to buy, but they hate to be sold. So we want to give them the pleasure of and the excitement of buying without all the bullshit and all the yucky vibration of feeling like they're getting strong-armed or sold.
It's unnecessary now.
Yep.
We don't need it.
It's a whole different game. It's very conversational. I mean, nowadays... back in the day, it was commonplace to be very professional and very polished in communication. Now I'm finding I get better response just being very conversational and kind of almost a little perhaps seemingly too unprofessional by saying something like, hey, you want to have a convo to talk about that, or James, you there? That's the first text. James, you there? That would be the first text that I would send out. James, you there? Like, who does that, right?
But you see but that's the human element, you know what I mean? And that's the wow factor. And unfortunately, the day and age that we are in, speed is liberating. First of all, if we don't recognize that, then we're missing a whole lot of stuff. And because speed is so liberating, bullshit is hot. You got 3 seconds to get somebody's attention, 6 seconds to hold it. And we're finding those statistics around all types of marketing channels. So, James, you're there, is a human like, look how I just responded. Like, I'm right here. You know what I mean?
Can you hear me?
Exactly. Like, it's innate. And that's how people, that's what you want. And it's again, cost per conversation. It's about being human and replicating that. You can do that. You can do that through video and scale.
So as we wrap up, I got one more question. Video can often, scare people away, because even if it's not Facebook Live, even if you can add editing components to it so you can edit out the bloopers, I don't know, even from my own experience, people might hear me and say, hey, Dorn, you seem like you're relatively, articulate. You shouldn't have any problem doing video. I took forever to do Facebook Lives. I was a latecomer in that space because I was afraid I was going to mess up and fall on my lips and trip on my lips and mess it up and look silly. And even with video where it's edited, it's like, and people think they got to have their hair just right and they got to say things just right and everything's got to be polished and perfect before it's actually going to work. Can you speak to that? Because I think a lot of people, they have a little bit of hesitancy doing video because they think they have to have it all perfect.
Now, well, first of all, if you're scared of video, they're going to see you eventually. So that's
right. Eventually they're going to see the real you. So you might as well break it out early, right?
So, we got that's a cool way and a fast way of almost pre-qualifying that particular prospect. We got some wackadoos out here, and for whatever reason, they may not like your gender, they may not like your ethnicity. You can get that shit out the way immediately through video because they're not going to contact you. And if a person don't like the way you sound, look, feel, whatever it is, you ain't got to worry about it because you'll never know.
Right. So turn up the volume or change the channel. That's the idea, right?
That's it. Be who you are. And like I said, I know for a fact I mess up words all the time. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm trying to be me. And if you can't engage with me of who I am, then you're not for me. Yeah, I ain't tripping. You're not the one for me, and I'm not going to try and that's what agents have to realize. Just because you take on this profession, you do not forget who you are as a person.
Amen, brother. That makes perfect sense. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, man, I'm picking up what you're putting down. I love this. This is exactly what I needed to hear. I want more. I want to hear about how I can deploy this. I want to hear about how I can execute these strategies. And they're looking for more assistance, more help. How can people reach you?
Oh, perfect. If you go on Facebook and if you look up Zillow Killer, you'll see my brown face sitting there. And once a month we do these live boot camps where we dive deep into Facebook advertisement. We build out about 4 or 5 sequences. And I'm a big fan of. I have a no dickhead policy. When people and I view bullshit as a dickhead move, because we don't have to do that anymore. And through these boot camps, to prove that we know what we're doing, I invest in the ad spend. I pay for the ad spend. We pick a few people throughout the group. Yes, it is a small investment to be a part of it. But if you just want to just pick my brain from time to time, if you go on Facebook and look up Zillow Killer, there's a free group. I'm open to anybody that's implementing. I don't want to talk theory. I don't want to talk concepts. If you're implementing and you want a real professional to take a look at what you're doing or ask some real questions on how do I improve, I'm 1,000% game for that.
Zillow Killer on Facebook, y'all. That's the Facebook group, Zillow Killer. If you don't know now, you know. So definitely reach out to James. Do you have a website as well for people to reach out to you on?
Yeah, you can look up my full name, jamesrembert.com. But I mean, I live by my code, and you can always find me on Facebook. That's the easiest way to connect with me. And if those that are interested in the agency side, come to the group first, see if we even gel. We can talk that later.
Brilliant. Well, this has been fascinating, man. Lots of fun. I knew it was going to be a cool interview. I just didn't realize how cool. So thank you for your contribution. Thank you for enlightening us. And thank you for, most importantly, being real, being the real one and only James Rembert. So thank you for that, brother.
Thank you, Darren.
All right, you guys. Well, there you go. There's another episode right up in your face. And again, that was James Rembert. And this has been another episode from the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. So if tips galore that help you soar is what you adore, know this, we got more in store. Remember, nothing happens without implementation. So in the meantime, in between time, go forth, engage. It's time for Operation Domination.